Resident Evil Zero. This is a prequel to the original Resident Evil game, and is the last one in the series that really has that classic gameplay style. It's also one that I've never played before, so today we're going to find out, is Resident Evil Zero worth your time?
Resident Evil Zero.
Resident Evil Zero was originally developed as an N64 title back in the late 90s when a bunch of those Resident Evil projects were in the works. Since it was designed for the N64, a lot of ideas were made with the limited storage space in mind. The infamous character swapping system, for instance, was implemented as a way to show off the lack of loading times that plagued early disc-based games. Most notably is the exclusion of item boxes, so inventory management became more vital. Its dark atmosphere and focus on difficulty was due to the developers wanting to make this entry less action-focused and keeping the series to its original roots. As the project went on and it became more apparent that the N64 couldn't contain the size of the project, it was shifted to the upcoming Nintendo GameCube, with most of its story and design intact. While series creator Shinji Mikami was busy directing the excellent Resident Evil remake, he served as an executive advisor to this game. Resident Evil Zero was directed by Koji Oda. Oda worked on the original Resident Evil and is credited for the game's, quote, camera works. So if you're mad about the camera in classic Resident Evil games, you can blame this guy. Sorry, Koji. Resident Evil Zero takes place just one day before the events of the original Resident Evil. We get to follow Rebecca Chambers, the companion to Chris in the original game, as she and the other members of Bravo Squad investigate cannibalistic murders in the mountains outside Raccoon City. They soon discover a crashed police escort and learn about an escaped convict named Billy Cohen, who is on death row for killing 23 people. Soon, you discover a stopped train, you go aboard to investigate, and enter the world of Resident Evil. The train as an intro provides a tight atmosphere for you to explore that really adds to the cramped, uncomfortable feeling. Rebecca is soon greeted by classic zombies and infected dogs until she encounters Billy Cohen, who is the other playable character in this game. You both work together to basically figure out what the heck is going on, as is with most Resident Evil games. Both characters do have some differences. Billy has a lighter, which allows him to create Molotov cocktails, which are pretty useful for this game's leech enemies. The game also boasts that Billy is stronger defensively and can push crates while Rebecca cannot. What is this sexism? Jill and Claire can push boxes all day in other games. Meanwhile, Rebecca, being a STARS member, has the ability to use a mixing kit to mix chemicals, and is the only one who can mix and combine herbs.
This is my herb mixing kit. I'm mixing herbs right now. How many times are we gonna have to do this? Still good.
So let's break down the rules on how this game works. As the previous entry, Code Veronica, switched the narrative back and forth between its two characters, Resident Evil Zero allows both characters to be used at the same time. You press the X button to switch control between the two characters. You can press the start button to tell your partner to wait or to follow you.
This way.
Okay.
You can also use the C-stick to move your partner around without taking full control of them, provided you're next to your partner. In the menus, you can set behavior for your partner, such as if you want them to attack or be idle in combat, which, by the way, is something you have to set with each character, so keep that in mind. Sometimes there are puzzles where you get separated from your partner, and the game works well enough here. Your partner will also radio you if they're in trouble, so you know to switch back to them to help them. If one partner dies, you get a game over. What? What happened? Visually, this game is beautiful on the GameCube. It's a new engine that the Resident Evil 1 remake uses. The usage of the pre-rendered backgrounds look great here, and there's a great level of map variety in this one. You have a great sequence where you have to do a quick puzzle to stop the train, just after you fight a giant scorpion that just ragdolls you so aggressively, and neither character mentions it afterwards. After Billy and Rebecca successfully crash the train, you arrive at a training facility that gives off Resident Evil 1 mansion vibes to me. This is where the game really opened up and felt more fluid. There's a lot of opportunities for the different paths and floors of this facility to unlock and bring you back to the main hall, which has a typewriter and provides a safe space for you to drop items. and that's a big thing in this game. Since there's no item boxes, the game wants you to inventory manage by either swapping between characters when you are close, or just drop them on the ground. The map has a feature that will show you the items you've dropped, so you can go back and grab them later. On the train, this sucked, because you'd have to do a lot of backtracking if you forgot a needed item. But here in the facility, you have a great big open space where you can lay out your extra healing items or things you don't need right then. I'm looking at you, Hookshot. This thing takes up 2 inventory spaces and is only needed for like 3 puzzles in the whole game. It's just awful to lug around. This is the most hated Resident Evil item for sure. The facility gives you a bit more context as to what's going on as well. Essentially, you learn that Dr. Marcus is the one who created the first virus for Umbrella back in the day, which the T-virus originated from. Over time, Marcus and Spencer, the original founder of the Umbrella Corporation, grew further apart and resented each other. During this time, it talks about when Wesker and William Birkin joined Umbrella at a young age, and some parts of the game are actually seen through their eyes in the present day. So it can be a bit complicated with the Umbrella history in the background of Resident Evil Zero. Meanwhile, the main narrative of Rebecca and Billy isn't much better either. They both just seem to work together with no real questions asked about what's going on. Billy does have a moment where he saves Rebecca and talks about his innocence on the 23 murder charges he has against him.
Billy, I just need to know. I need to know the truth. Did you kill 23 people? I'm not going to judge you. I just want to know the truth.
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
It's almost like the game kind of puts them together just because. I don't like the idea of playable characters being in Resident Evil that have nothing to do with either STARS or Raccoon City or Umbrella at all, really. This is just kind of a random guy who got caught up in all this mess. It does add realism, but I just don't think these two characters work well together. Previous entries at least had partners that had some sort of relationship or a pairing that made more sense to me. In Zero, it just feels more forced. Most of the classic Resident Evil components and charms are still present in Resident Evil Zero. You have your usual mix of enemies, with even hunters showing up in this one. New to the series are plague crawlers, which are like these grasshopper-type enemies, infected monkeys, which are super annoying, and the game's signature enemy, the leeches. They are only really a threat when they infect a host and create a giant shambling monster that really packs a punch. Thankfully, they are super weak to the Molotovs, so it's best to always keep those on hand. And also the spiders are back, and yet again there's just like only 2 of them in this game. I just don't get it. It felt like most of the game took place in the facility, and it was the highlight of the game for me. You do get to fight a giant centipede boss too, and that part was awesome. Soon you collect these stone tablets to leave the facility by lowering an observatory tower to access a church. This is what prompts you to switch the disc to, and yes, this is a 2-disc GameCube game, you don't see it very often. This is also when it's recommended to move all of your items around. Thankfully, I was consulting the game's official strategy guide while I was playing, because it tells you when you want to have a new room as an item dumping ground for quick access. There's a few more sections you go through before the game's end. Outside the facility is a lab and an underground treatment plant that once again shows how deep Umbrella has its grip on the town and outskirts of Raccoon City. Leaving the lab involves starting a cable car, which after you activate it is the last time out of 4 times total you need to use the dreaded heavy hookshot, and you can leave it behind for good. This is also like many hours into the game, so it just was so satisfying to finally be done with this big burden. When you do get on the cable car, Billy gets surprised by a monkey and falls into the water below. Oh no. This is the only time where the party is actually separated, and you have to control Rebecca for a bit. I hope you planned your inventory management before this happened. Rebecca wanders the treatment plant alone for a while, accesses a giant elevator, and somehow runs into Enrico from STARS Bravo team, and boy is his line delivery something else.
Where is everybody?
They should have arrived here before me. Haven't you seen them? That's unfortunate.
Right after, you get to fight a tyrant. It also just ragdolls you all over the place, but is quickly put down. You meet back up with Billy and do some minor puzzle solving before reaching the game's ending. So you find out that this mysterious figure that's been controlling the leeches is actually the Queen Leech that took over Marcus's dead body after he was assassinated by Umbrella. He vows revenge on Umbrella and takes it out on you for some reason. This revelation scene also contains some of the funniest line delivery in this game.
Time to die, Doctor. I will take over your research.
You fight the Queen Leech and then go to escape, but you gotta fight her again, and this time, the boss fight adds a unique mix by having you play as Billy while Rebecca works on opening these 4 valves which let sunlight in, the Leech's true weakness. After getting ragdolled by the Queen Leech for a few minutes, the sunlight is let in and you finish off the Queen for good.
Billy!
Hey, Queenie! Feast on this!
Rebecca states that she will report Billy as killed in action during the whole ordeal, which gives him a chance to finally live his life and be free. After you beat the game, you unlock some bonus costumes in a mode called Leech Hunters, where you have to collect leech charms in the facility area as quickly as possible. It's okay, but as per the course, these bonus modes don't really appeal to me personally. With its release in late 2002, it was the second Resident Evil game on the GameCube and remained a system exclusive until it was later ported to the Nintendo Wii, and then received an HD remaster in 2016 for PC and modern platforms. Much like Resident Evil Code Veronica, Zero, as of this recording, does not have a remake like other classic games have been receiving. And I can see why. The core feature revolving around 2 characters being played simultaneously stands out and is a little bit different compared to the other games. Coupled with lower sales and less popularity versus the numbered entries, it isn't a Resident Evil game that people first think of. If they really wanted to make a remake, I think they should take notes from It Takes Two. Imagine playing this game with another player in a split-screen mode. They've already supported 2 players in future entries, is all I'm saying. Resident Evil Zero contains some of the harder aspects of the classic Resident Evil series, while implementing new hurdles designed for veteran players to master. The story feels its weakest, especially with the bloated aspects of Umbrella's history and the lackluster development of newcomer Billy. Rebecca gets some nice additions, but the aspect of an outside person unrelated to STARS or Umbrella just feels a bit out of place to me. While still representing a lot of the core design aspects of the classic era of Resident Evil, this one is riddled with the most tedious nature of character swapping and the worst item management I've ever seen for the series so far. Resident Evil has always had that level of item management, but since so much emphasis is put in the dropping and character swapping system, you spend a lot more time here planning your next move in menus for far too long. I think coupled with the lack of real innovation of the core gameplay and combat, it leaves less of an impression on me personally. The classic style of games are my favorite in the series, and playing it here, it just makes the new changes feel worse in comparison. However, this entry paired with the Resident Evil 1 remake brought the series back to Nintendo platforms, and soon later, Capcom pushed more Resident Evil to the console. It can still be fun, but when looking at the series as a whole, I'd rather revisit any of the older titles if I wanted my fix for a classic Resident Evil game. And for now, I'll leave you with Rebecca's very first introduction from the original Resident Evil.
Whoa! What is it?
What? Oh no! Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
You must be from the Bravo team.
Yes, I'm Rebecca. Rebecca Chambers. I'm a newcomer. I just joined the STARS Bravo team last month. Well, I'm really sorry. Are you all right?
Yes. I'm Chris Redfield from the Alpha team. Are you the only person here from the Bravo team?
Well, because the helicopter made a forced landing, I just ran into this house anyway, but I
see. There's nothing else you could have done anyway. It's good you're here.
Yes, sir.
And that is Resident Evil Zero. It definitely takes some unique, fresh ideas to the classic Resident Evil formula and does present a very memorable experience for longtime fans. But what did you think? Let me know in the comments below, and also take a look at my other Resident Evil review videos that I've done for this series so far. Until next time, thanks for watching.